We grow up. Little Red makes a nest. Jack and Jane lived in a big house with a nice porch. There was grass all around the house, and there was a garden that went all the way down the hill behind the house. The house was at the end of a village street. There were many squirrels and birds about, and all the trees around the house had nests in them. Two beautiful big maple trees were growing right by the porch, and there was a hammock hung between the two big maple trees. All the little red squirrels played in the two maple trees. Every day the frisky squirrels could be seen running up and down the trees. Sometimes the squirrels jumped from one maple tree to the other. The gray squirrels lived in other trees at the end of the garden. In the spring, Jack and Jane had seen the gray squirrels build their nests, but the children never could find out where the red squirrels lived. The red squirrels had many secrets that Jack and Jane could not learn. Jane thought that one of the little red squirrels was redder and newer looking than the others. So the children called this squirrel Little Red. All the squirrels on the place came to the porch for nuts, corn, and pieces of bread. Most of the gray squirrels were very friendly. They sat down by Jack and Jane and reached for bread and corn, which the children held in their hands. But the red squirrels never came so close. They were just a little afraid of Jack and Jane. When the children were not on the porch, though, the red squirrels came up. One warm fall day, Jane and Jack put some nuts on the end of the porch and then waited close by to see the friendly gray squirrels come for them. In a few minutes, there were many gray squirrels on the porch. They ran about getting the nuts, and one squirrel even ran along Jack's arm to get a piece of bread from Jack's hand. All at once, Jane cried, "Oh, Jack, look at Little Red. He is on the hammock. What can he be doing?" Jack looked and saw Little Red biting one of the ropes and pulling it as hard as he could. Little Red pulled harder and harder and harder. Then down he came with a bump. But Little Red climbed right back up on the hammock again. "Why, he is cutting the rope," said Jack. "What do you think Little Red is going to do with that rope?" "I believe he is going to line a nest with the rope," said Jane. "I think the pieces of rope will make a nest soft and warm for him. If we see where he takes it, we can find out where he is making his nest," said Jack. Jack and Jane sat still and watched. Little Red gnawed and pulled, and then he could cut off some piece of rope. He put the pieces into his mouth and pushed them inside his cheeks. Then Little Red ran up the maple tree behind him and jumped from branch to branch until he got over to the other maple tree. All at once, Little Red was gone. Jack ran to the tree and called to Jane, "Little Red is gone. Come here and help me try to find his nest. It must be in this maple tree." Jane ran to the maple tree, and the two children tried to find the little red squirrel in the leaves. "I cannot see him," said Jane. Jack and Jane stood looking at a hole high up in one of the maple trees. In a minute, Little Red's head peeped out between the leaves. Then he flew inside the hole again. "That is his nest," cried Jack. "It must be," said Jane. "Let's help Little Red make his house. You must not chew up the hammock ropes, you know. Mother will scold us if we let Little Red do that." "All right," said Jack. "What can we give him?" "We can give him some cotton," said Jane. "That'll be fine," said Jack. "Let's put the cotton in between the hammock ropes where he was biting them. Then it will not be hard for him to find the cotton." Jane ran into the house. She came back with some cotton. She had a ball of red string, too. Jack helped her roll the cotton into tiny balls. Then the children put the balls of cotton between the ropes. Next, the children cut the string into many small pieces. They hung the pieces on the hammock ropes. Little Red watched the children from the big tree, but they did not see him. "This is the first time I ever helped a squirrel make a nest," said Jack. After Jack and Jane put the cotton between the ropes, they went back to the porch and sat down to watch. They kept very, very quiet, so that Little Red would not be afraid. Soon Little Red ran down the rope to the first white ball. There he stopped. Then, with his tail wagging all the time, he began to come closer and closer. Then Little Red started to reach for the cotton. At last he had it in his paws. He smelled it all over. He wanted to make sure that it was not some terrible creature that would bite him. The cotton did not fly at him or bite him or hurt him, so Little Red pushed it into his mouth with his paws. He pushed more and more cotton into his mouth. Soon his cheeks were round and his face looked big. The children laughed at Little Red. "His face is so big," said Jane. "He looks as though all his teeth hurt." Then off went Little Red. He ran up the maple tree behind him and jumped from branch to branch until he got to the other maple tree. Little Red took all the cotton and the string which Jane had hung on the rope. Jane had put some other things there, but he did not care to have them. The next day Jack and Jane put out more cotton and string. Again they kept very quiet and watched. Again Little Red came down from the maple tree to get the cotton and the string. Little Red spent the morning working hard. He took the cotton and string to his nest in the maple tree. By lunchtime all the cotton was gone, and most of the string had been taken. That must have been all that the house would hold, for Little Red did not come back to the hammock. Jack and Jane watched all afternoon, but Little Red spent the time in one of the fruit trees, eating the nice fresh fruit. "Well, we helped him make his house," said Jane. "Little Red will be happy and warm in his nest, and we helped him. Do you suppose Little Red will sleep like a log now that his nest is made?" Join me next time for more adventures.